The Lakers are about to shock everyone as a wild new report has dropped revealing some very interesting information surrounding one particular center that the Lakers are pursuing. We're going to break that down and discuss what this means going forward for the team. We also have multiple updates ahead of Saturday night's game against the Minnesota Timberwolves and what's going to be a crazy playoff run. So a ton to go over today, folks. But before we get into it, if you're part of the percentage who are not subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. We're getting closer to our goal of 19,000 subscribers and, of course, the big goal of 20,000. So if you're enjoying the daily content and you're excited for the Lakers playoff run, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys again for your continued support over here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some crazy news. And obviously, we've been discussing the playoffs, which is obviously the number one priority, but I'm taking a step back now. The playoffs are a few days away. We'll have another video later tonight with some more, updates as they drop surrounding that playoff series against the Timberwolves. So we do have some updates in this video regarding that as well. However, we're going to step back a little bit here because some very interesting details and some rumors and reports have dropped surrounding, like the man you saw in the intro video there, Dwight Howard. And he came out yesterday and said something that has not only fans intrigued, but you date back to even at the trade deadline. This is a very interesting scenario here. So Dwight Howard hasn't shut the door on playing in the NBA as an active Hall of Famer per Basketball Insiders. Luka would score every time, will get a bucket every time. It would be very difficult for them to stop me and Luka in the pick and roll. So this is absolutely absurd because if you think back to the trade deadline before they did the Mark Williams trade that got rescinded, before they really finalized their centers, which was getting Alex Len. Obviously we know how that worked out. There was a lot of rumors and reports about the Lakers, interest in and some rumors and interest in a bunch of different centers. And Dwight Howard, was a part of the rumor mill surrounding that. But we know that reports have come out that the Lakers are going to be pursuing numerous centers in this upcoming offseason. They need a center. And of course, they went with Alex Len. They could have tried to get guys like JaVale McGee, a bunch of other guys. They chose Alex Len. Daniel Tice was part of the rumor mill. And there was a brief time there where some rumors and reports are coming out saying the Lakers were interested in Dwight Howard if he was available. And now for the first time in a while, especially since those rumors, Dwight Howard has come out and said he wants to play with Luka Doncic and that he would be willing to play with Luka Doncic. Now, this is a very interesting scenario because for one, Dwight Howard is and was recently inducted into the Hall of Fame, so he would be an active Hall of Famer playing. And two, it would be a very interesting fit. Now, am I fully against it? No, I think it would be hilarious, and I also think it would be a ton of fun having Dwight Howard on the Lakers. Now, when you look at from a realistic point of view, I think Rob Pelinka's number one goal in this offseason, of course, the focus right now is the playoffs. So I want to take a step back just for this video and kind of discuss, of course, what the offseason is going to look like as it pertains to a center, no matter how the Lakers do. If they win the championship, they're still going to be looking for a center. Of course, if they get eliminated in any of the earlier rounds, they're going to be looking for a center. It's just the way that things go here. And of course, with him not shutting the door on playing, things become very interesting now. And again, they're going to be looking at higher tier centers than Dwight Howard. That's no doubt about that. They're obviously going to be looking at, as you can see a bunch of quotes here, they're going to be looking at a bunch of different centers. That's not named Dwight Howard. You're talking about Nick Claxton and a lot of the higher end guys. But as it specifically pertains to Dwight Howard, I think there's a real world here where I'm not going to go out and say that the Lakers, sign him. I'm not going to say that that's necessarily the most likely outcome out of this. But for him to come out and say this is very interesting. And you pair that with what I showed you guys a little bit there. He spoke out recently about the Lakers, and he said even the Thunder ran over their competition in the regular season well. But he said the only team I see them giving trouble to them is Denver, and of course talking about the Lakers, and they can beat Denver. Howard told Basketball Insiders while explaining who in the West could give the Lakers problems. OKC is afraid of them. They can beat OKC. I see no problems with OKC. And of course, the Denver Nuggets have had the Lakers number in recent years as big man Nikola Jokic completely ended the Lakers season each of the last two playoff runs. Now, we've seen JJ Redick has made adjustments in the regular season and hopefully would pertain to the playoffs if they end up playing each other. But I'm not too worried about the Nuggets as much as I used to be. You have guys now, like JJ Redick specifically, who's create defensive schemes coming from Darwin Ham. It's a big upgrade there. And you see him, really praising the Lakers. And he's in this interview with Basketball Insiders, he was saying, okay, I see no one giving them trouble besides maybe the Denver Nuggets. He sees them running through the Oklahoma City Thunder, all these different things. You pair that with the fact that he wants to come back to the NBA and he wouldn't shut the door on return in a potential, meet up with Luka Doncic. It's a very interesting situation. Of course, coming back to the NBA and going, signing with a team that has Luka Doncic and the Lakers would be not only, and of course he's played with the Lakers before, as we know, would not only be, hilarious and good for basketball. I think it would be interesting. But looking at his stats here, he's been able to, now he hasn't played since 2021, 2022, but I mean, he was still serviceable. We think back to the time with the Lakers in 2021, think back to the time in 2019. I mean, of course, they won a championship with Dwight Howard on the roster back in 2021, 2022. So it becomes very interesting now. On the flip side, you start to look at it from the perspective of he is 38 or 39 years old, and it starts to become very interesting. And obviously, again, he was a part of the championship team in 2019, 2020. I think it's at 2021. Obviously, he was part of the championship team in 2019, 2020, but he was with the Lakers still in 2021. He came back. Of course, it was, it was a wild run. We think back to the season that they actually won the championship in the bubble, and the fact that the Lakers were, Dwight Howard was a part of that was a little bit crazy. But of course, also back in 2021, he returned. Of course, they didn't win anything there. But it becomes very interesting now. And I think that having him, and let me know down below what your thoughts are. Because I mean, ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, it's funny to think about. And of course, the focus right now is on this upcoming season, the upcoming postseason run, In the offseason, the Lakers will, of course, be doing some interesting things with hopefully they can go ahead and win games in the postseason, actually win another championship. That's the focus. But kind of just shifting focus for a little bit and talking about this was very interesting. It's a very interesting thought as well. But let's dive into a few updates now ahead of the playoffs. And again, I wanted to bring this up because we are now days away from what's going to be the playoffs. I'll have multiple videos coming out on that. But I wanted to see this. And the big conversation point has been the bench unit, right? And Dwight Howard said, the Thunder are afraid of the Lakers, and that's just assuming that they're going to beat, of course, the Timberwolves. You look at the bench difference here, and you have, of course, Gabe Vincent, Goodwin, Knecht, Dorian Finney-Smith, Vando versus a very good bench team, a bench unit for the Timberwolves. And I've been discussing this a lot here on the channel, and we've been talking a lot about it. And of course, we now know the Lakers or the Rockets and Warriors are playing in the first round of the playoffs. So of course, the Warriors won their playing game yesterday, and we're talking about people already jumping the gun about Lakers versus Warriors second round. Who would you rather have, Rockets or the Warriors if you're Lakers fans? I think when it pertains to the bench, just to kind of go back to here, I covered it in the video yesterday. So if you're interested in a full breakdown, I covered that in the video yesterday, the video before the Maxi Kleber one. I think the Lakers have a very good chance to, really destroy the Timberwolves in 5 or 6 games. I do think that bench is going to be one of the only issues, if any, for the Lakers. But I ultimately think that, a lot of people who don't watch the Lakers games every day don't appreciate how good, especially down the stretch, Gabe Vincent has become and how useful he's become. Dalton Knecht can, blow up any single game for a fantastic, 20 or 30 points. You have Dorian Finney-Smith there, who is a very underrated player, especially if you're just counting stats. And I saw, some articles dropping. I think it was from the most overrated or, worst player from every team this season. And not overrated. I think it was like the most disappointing player from every team this season. And the Lakers was Gabe Vincent, which if you're actually a Lakers fan, compared to last season, he's been one of the more impressive guys, especially with all the injuries that happened. So it goes to show people who don't watch the Lakers games are going to obviously make this bench seem to be a lot worse than it is. That being said, obviously the Timberwolves bench is better. They have Dante DiVincenzo, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid, all these different guys. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But again, you're in a very good spot if you're the Lakers. Now, also let me know down below in the comment section, between the Rockets and the Warriors, who would you rather win in a, for the Lakers to play if they get to the second round? Let me know down below. A lot of things coming up for you guys, a ton of new videos. We're going to have another video later today, so you're going to stay tuned for that. But ladies and gentlemen, it's getting very interesting, very fast, and hopefully the Lakers can take care of business in the playoff run. But also, do you want to see a Dwight Howard reunion with LA? Let me know down below what your thoughts are.